check because I just don't necessarily, but he's just not going to have anything ever. But the turn there comes a flush draw and a bunch of gut shots, so I think it's a great spot to lead out. And now that he jacks it back up, I'm going to go ahead and 3-bet it. The fact is that he's not going to have anything a lot, but he can call this 8 more. He could have called that 8 more with he could have called it with anything. He could have called it with a flush draw. He could have called it with literally king 6. I mean, we've seen him play hands in a suspect manner previously, so he could have called it with just about anything. So I think it's very important to 3-bet there, just for value, just because our hand is so strong. Right hand side, not going to get fancy and just going to fold, especially since this Dog's Day 0 guy is a 45-10, and built to tilt appears to interesting. I would assume that built to tilt here has king queen, ace king, or ace queen. Yes, he has king queen. And the guy on the right hand side has queen 10. He bet tanked it. Built to tilt gets the money. Now, what do we think of these guys' lines in this hand? Obviously, Dog's Day, we're not even going to comment on pre-flop. Dog's Day min raises, calls, the 5x is min raise. It's not really worth talking about. I mean, Dog's Day is obviously playing the hand too loose. He's only got 63 big lines. We're not going to ever be in that situation. Built to tilt 3-bets. Built to tilt 3-bet is good, especially if we know that he's calling with queen 10. So that's really important for us to note. If we know that he's calling with queen 10, then it's important that we can 3-bet king queen. Now, would Dog's Day 4-bet light? He probably wouldn't. So although you've heard me talk about polarized ranges pre-flop, and although we know for a fact that us 3-betting yields him to call with worse, sometimes we would still flat because we don't want to get 4-bet. But this is not one of those times. This is one of those times where this guy's 4-betting range is going to be tight, like aces and kings and maybe jacks and maybe ace-king, and maybe not even that. But his 3-bet calling range is going to be absurdly wide. Now on the flop, I expect that Dog's Day can have stuff like 8-9 and queen 9 and all that jazz and flush draws and shit like that. So I think that his range is such that it's okay. I think we're gonna have the best hand here on the left. If we don't have the best hand on the left, he's got ace queen probably. Okay, he's got queen 4. So he opened a little wider than I thought he would in the cutoff. That was part of the reason I didn't 3-bet. I didn't think he'd be opening that wide in the cutoff. But I was mighty wrong. Oh, he's kind of laggy, actually, even though it's over a small sample. He appears to be pretty laggy. I can't get his stats to come up. Oh, there we go. Oh, it's only 12 hands. Never mind. Anyhow, with king queen here, I would just, if assuming that the pot is 20, I would just go ahead and bet call it off, because I think that our king high is better than some of his draws. So if he perceives full equity, he can just shove worse. So, and it's also a pretty gay thing when it gets checked around. We have so much equity, like overs and a straight draw, open and straight draw are. So Dak goes ahead and 3-bets me on the left-hand side. Again, I think that he knows that I 4-bet an absurd amount, but he also knows that I call 3-bets wide. So I'm going to go ahead and call. He probably thinks what I just said right now in this video was, well, for this video, I'm going to go ahead and call a 3-bet with 5-8 of spades and see if I can flop good just to show you guys some educational spots, blah, blah, blah. And also, this looks like a pretty good board for him to barrel, because he probably perceives a lot of my calling range to be, or a lot of my range to be like 5s and stuff like that. I'm going to C-bet on the right-hand side 3/4 of the pot. It's hard for them to have anything. Left-hand side, I'm going to go ahead and bet what I would with air. It's kind of weird that on a board that I perceive to be not only a good calling, not only a good board to continuation, or not only a good board to barrel, but certainly a good board to put the first one out on the continuation bet, he actually checked, and he actually did it with the intention of check raising. So what I'm going to do is I am going to basically click it back. I'm going to on the right hand side, although I have a ton of equity, I'm not going to barrel. The reason I didn't barrel is because I think that he never folds a king. So if he never folds a king, it doesn't make any sense for me to oh, big cooler. Anyways, if he never folds a king on the turn, it doesn't make any sense for me to oh, we held. Excuse me. If he doesn't fold a king on the turn, it doesn't make any sense for me to bet. Now, how often does he call the flop with nutted flush draws? How often does he call the flop with 6s and 3s? which is basically what we're trying to figure out how many times we're behind. I just have absolutely no idea. I would assume the answer is that he never calls with pocket threes, and I would assume that the answer is that he rarely calls with sixes. It's just really weird that he went ahead and played this hand like this. And this is super close. I just have no idea what his knowledge is of capped ranges. I specifically have no idea. I assume he thinks I would never check a flush back here, but I'm just also, damn, this is really close. The thing is that I'm never supposed to have a flush when I raise the river. I'm supposed to just have air or pocket threes, I guess. But I'm never, I mean, he just probably never thinks that I check the turn back with a flush draw, and he probably never thinks that I, damn, this is really close. I'm going to fold. I'm going to fold because I guess he got like ace jack with the ace of clubs or something stupid like that, and just decide that he can rep the nut flush even though he really can't rep the nut flush. Anyways, let me go back and look at that hand one more time. Okay, so on the flop, I mean, I don't think he's capable of 3-bet bluffing the river. All right, let's get that out of the way right now. I wasn't sure if he was for a second, but now that I think about it, he's just not capable of it. I mean, nobody knows what, nobody, especially at these stakes, is capable of reading ranges to such a degree that they know that I don't have a flush or that they know that I don't have a boat. I don't think they are anyways. I think that it's far more likely he slow played something like tens full or something like that, tens full of kings or something. I think that's actually extremely likely. And on the river, he just 3-bet jams it, obviously. He's got a big hand. So that's a semi-interesting hand. But the river raise, I think, if he bets bigger, it's possible I don't raise the river, and I just assume he has king, queen, or king, jack. Or, I mean, excuse me, I assume that if he has king, queen, or king, jack, he's not calling a raise with it. But when he only bets 12, I think that he still probably has king, queen, or king, jack, but he has to be more likely to call a range when he bets smaller because he has to think, well, maybe I induced. I assumed he would level himself into calling. If he somehow has a slow play 10x, which I guess is possibly possible, then at that time I would certainly assume that he is capable of, playing a hand in that manner. Left-hand side, the deuce and 3 offsuit. Right-hand side, pretty coordinated board. Don't know this guy's limping range. He probably has, like, queen 7 suited or queen 8 suited or some bullshit like that. I just don't ever... Oh, damn, I'm nasty. And with the flush draw. I just don't really ever think that it's worth it because the board got so wet with 3 to a straight there to take a stab at it. Of course, the dry boards I'm more likely to take a stab at because, again, I assume these guys are playing hit or miss with their hand. For left-hand side, we are going to go ahead and raisey-daisy. We're bluffing, obviously. Anyways, that queens versus kings hand was semi-interesting. I don't like his flop check raise. His flop check raise is much better on boards, which I'm likely to take a stab at with air, but that's not really one of them. That's a board that I'm likely to take a stab at with air would be like Jack 9-6 with 3 clubs or 2 clubs or something like that, or like 3 in a row, like 9-7-6. Those boards people are likely to take stabs at. Just gonna keep 3-betting in position. Those boards people are likely to take stabs at because they assume that the 3-bet caller's range hits the board better than the 3-better's range. And that it's obviously true. I mean, there's no bullshit about that. That 3-bet caller's range does hit the board really well when it comes like Jack 9-8 or something like that, because people have a lot of combos of Jack 10, 10-9, etc., etc. So what you have to sort of assume, anyways, is that when a guy checks Jack 6-4 or whatever, he doesn't really have much of anything. Again, because it's a great board to c-bet. If there was a flush draw, it would be even a better board to check raise, because again, I wouldn't expect him to check anything strong. But since there's no flush draw, I think he should have just c-bet. I would have been like, okay, this guy has air a lot when he 3-bets pre-flop. The board is dry. I have pocket 5s or whatever, or some, whatever.